Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk, the podcast presented by The Courier. I'm Sol, your co-host and lifestyle editor here.
And I'm David, I'm the managing editor here at The Courier.
And we're going to talk about something sad today, something actually fucking crazy that I can't believe is like unfolding. And it's pretty much headlining everything right now.
Yeah.
Because it's happening as we speak and it's getting worse and worse. We want to talk about the Hamas attacks on Israel that took place this past weekend. I think they happened on Saturday.
It was on Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday. People are being killed. People are being, towns and villages are being bombed, and it's just the death toll is rising like as we speak.
Yeah.
So, very scary thing. I think that a lot of people don't realize the severity of what this can turn into.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't know if it was maybe the actual attack was a surprise, but the fact that it was between Israel and Palestine is kind of it's as old as time. They've always been in conflict with each other. Yeah, but it's kind of unexpected, especially with knowing how heavily armed Israel already is, and how their defenses are, and just for this to happen out of the blue, really just catching everyone off guard. And yeah, it's on every headline. Every time when you open on the news, it's gonna be talking about that. So.
Right. Until it finds some sort of de-escalation, but I do feel like this is the peak of it, and it probably might get a little worse from here on out. It's like you said, it's been a thing for as old as time, their conflict. But I feel like this was a little bit it's just scary. It's just really scary. So we want to talk about some stats that have been released, some updates. Literally every news publication so far that I've been following since Saturday is giving updates every hour.
Yeah.
Every hour there's more people who are found dead, more people who are reported missing. And so it's very scary. But
yeah, I mean you were telling me that right before because I woke up and I checked the news first and I was just watching it. And they were doing a story on the one American that they knew who was potentially held hostage, and because they had a press conference and everything with the family who were saying we don't know if she's on the streets or best case scenario she's being held hostage right now.
Right.
And then you said they actually have confirmed deaths for Americans, right?
As of this morning, I think a couple of hours ago or an hour ago, it's 22 U.S. citizens that were reported killed.
Yeah.
So it's very scary. I think on Monday yesterday it was 14, and now this morning I checked a live update, it was 22 confirmed dead U.S. citizens. So it's not only an attack on Israel, it's an attack, and like you said, this has been happening for years and years. So it's always been the matter of not only is it an attack on humans, but it's an attack on our citizens as well. And it just sucks too. I think so when the attacks happened, I read that Israel was celebrating a Jewish holiday that's 7 days long. It's called Sukkot or something. I think it's called Sukkot. And it's a 7-day long festival, and when the final day of the festival was coming to an end and the sun was rising, that's when the attacks came through, and they were surprise attacks.
Yeah.
So it's even that, celebrating a holiday where it's supposed to be peaceful, and you're supposed to remember your culture and and honor that, and it's very scary. I can only imagine what it looks like there, or what people are going through.
Yeah, I mean it's strategic, and as soon as it happened, it was it's hard not to think of 9/11 when that just happened, and we just had the anniversary last month, but just coming out of the blue, and then attacking everyday citizens, just going about their day, and I think also just the fact that it's the Middle East, it definitely, and the whole U.S. involvement, because the Biden press conference, or that was yesterday, right?
Yeah, yesterday. Biden did release a statement about the attacks. He just basically said, like, we kind of have Israel's back.
Yeah.
And he even said there's a specific line he used that's kind of making headlines right now. He's like, Israel has a duty to respond to Hamas.
Yeah.
Which is, it's, like, suggestive. But I think... Yeah, I don't know. He did say, though, like, that this is not an attack on Israel. This is an attack on, like, humanity and peace and stuff. And unity. So
yeah,
that's what he basically... You can find it on YouTube. It's, like, a 2-minute clip, but...
Yeah. But I think that it's been kind of... I mean, it's always been complicated with, like, Israel and Palestine. But, like, even more so because it was only, like, maybe, like, what, a year ago when people were, like, with the whole, like, Palestine, like, oh, free Palestine.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And I see a lot of people saying, like, oh, I don't want to, like comment on it because, like, I guess for them it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Which, like, I understand, but I think it's like, and unfortunately with, like, an attack like this, because it's not that Palestine attacked Israel, it's a terrorist group that attacked Israel.
Exactly.
But because they are from Palestine, it's gonna,
right.
It's not gonna turn out good for Palestine pretty much, like, especially with the U.S. like backing, like, no, like, there's basically no coming back from that, at least.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was in my poli-sci class yesterday, and so we had just, like, we reviewed, because it's, like, it's live, like, as it's happening right now, as we're, like, making this podcast, like, there are updates coming out every hour.
Yeah.
So yesterday the Biden speech had, like, just come out, so we were, like, reviewing it and, like, listening to it as it was just released, and there was a girl there who was like, we have to, like, be very careful with, like, the distinction we make between, like, this is a terrorist group and not necessarily, like, Palestine.
Yeah.
So that is, like, also, like, a fuzzy area that, like, I think people need to make themselves aware of, because it's not only just, there are people who are oppressed and there are people who are in fear, Yeah,
and that's why I kind of compared it to 9/11 earlier, because it wasn't, the Middle East that carried on, it was the terrorist group. So it's like,
exactly.
And when something like that happens, and it's like, they're of a certain country, and you're gonna go after, like, a certain region of where they're gonna be at, it doesn't pan out well for the people who are just innocent, and like, and I mean, people always talk about, like, drone strikes and, like, how innocents are murdered, and then, like, and then how that started from, like, way back in 2000s, and then how it still carried on up until when we left Afghanistan, like, a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, especially because, Palestine does have its trouble with Israel, and Israel has done, awful things to Palestine, and Palestinians. But when you have something, like, so, like, clearly, like, big and, like, in your face like this, it's hard to be like, well, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy.
Right.
And it's like, it's so complicated with, like, this, with these two.
It is. And I think, like, at the end of the day, like, a lot of people can agree that this is just it's just an attack on, like, the people who are dying, like, it's just, like, it's crazy to think about. Like, I think one of the first occurrences that happened, one of the first attacks, was at this music festival in Israel. And it was called the Supernova Festival, and it did align with the Sukkot holiday, but it was more of, like, it was just a music festival for, like, the Psy-trans community, and it was a small one, I think it was less than, a little under 4,000 people that were attending, but I actually, like, follow someone who is a part of the Psy-trans community, and I followed him for years. He's, like, a YouTuber, a content creator.
Yeah.
And he posted on his story, like, this is, like, my friend is missing. She did attend the Supernova Music Festival, and, like, she's nowhere to be found. And he posted a picture of them together, and, like, that was his close friend. And come to find out, like, he literally posted, like, shortly after, like, I saw her, like, body, like, literally being wheeled out in a truck in a video that went viral. And that's how we were able to identify her, because, like, her tattoos.
Yeah.
And her family right away, like, they knew that was her.
Yeah.
And I did, like, DM him, and he responded, and I just asked him questions. So I don't know, I'm thinking of maybe making an article about that, but it is scary. Like, these people, I think I read an article as well, like, that was saying these music festival goers were, like, running away, and, like, as they were trying to just, like, they were just running, like, it's just, like, a flight response, so they were just running as fast and as far as they could, and then, they were just being like killed like in the back, like they're literally just being shot in the back and like falling like flies, you know.
Yeah, that was like the most like striking thing at first was just how many videos there were
Like,
immediately.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just like the the running away and like the the murdering, but like also seeing like the bombs like happening like in real time. And just like that whole attack was like crazy to see. Just because like, I mean, obviously we have like video and we've seen like how bombs work with like, I mean, going as far back as like Vietnam War, but like to see it like on social media and like the people reacting was just like, jeez.
Also, side note, be careful where you get information from, because so X, or Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, is now proven to like not be a reliable source for information, because a lot of people were tweeting like old videos of like attacks and they weren't even from like what's been happening this weekend.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think, Elon Musk was pretty pissed about that, but, he basically can't rely on X, so I've been following, like, a lot of the just publications.
I mean, like, AP News is pretty much, like, the go-to for, like, immediate news, but it was actually interesting, because I saw that whole thing about how X was, like, people were sharing, like, the wrong videos from, like, that are way older.
And photos as well.
Which, that's a pretty, like, that's always happened with history. Like, I remember seeing someone talking about how when people speak about like the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, the images that usually coincide with those bombings are from what would you call it, fire raids that the U.S. did on Japan, but they use those photos as like in association with the bombs, so people get confused with like, and like, oh, this looks like terrible, not knowing that it was already happened like a few years during the war. So yeah, just be careful with like where you get your news, but yeah, there's it's not hard to see like where the videos are though, because like there'll be like I think, and also YouTube, which not saying that like you should just like watch every single video on YouTube, but like the major publications, I do see them post things like Guardian, CNN, they'll post individual videos of that sort of stuff, but there's like a lot.
It's terrifying like to hear, just to see, and like I think more so like I wanted to talk about this because it's unveiling like right now in this very moment, which is like super important, because we don't know, it could in a week from now it could be like, it could turn into a full-fledged war, like involving us as well, but like who knows.
Because Israel already declared war.
Already declared war, right?
Which I don't know, like I mean I feel like, especially considering the size of both countries, like I don't know if like it'll really be like I don't think it's going to escalate to the same like as long as the war on terror. Just because like, especially because like Palestine against Israel is so like, that's such a big difference. And I feel like especially with like the US backing, if we do get involved, then that's going to be, it's going to be bad for Palestine. And, like people who didn't have anything to do with the attacks at all. And all just because like one group had to splinter off and do something like so like horrible. Objectively horrible.
My poli-sci professor scared the shit out of me yesterday. Yesterday. He was like,
why would he say?
He was just like very serious, and he's like, I don't usually say this, but like it's really bad, guys. Like this is really, really bad. And I was like, I mean, I knew it was bad. It's obviously bad, but like the way he said it, and like, I don't know, it just like gave me a pit in my stomach. I was like, damn, what the hell are we getting into? Like, who knows? It could escalate. It could not, And I hope that, the people who are living there on both sides of the border are safe. And I hope it doesn't, but you never know. You really don't ever know. And I think from the music festival there were almost 300 people killed, and I think in Israel there are 1,200 people killed who are confirmed. And then in Gaza there are almost 1,000 people and counting, like as we speak. I'm sure.
There's still like probably bodies underneath rubble and things like that, but it kind of. I was also thinking like about Russia and Ukraine, like recently, how that happened like last year, and how that was such an unexpected thing. That, I mean, maybe not unexpected because the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict that had been brewing for since 2014 and before that, but it was still kind of a like, oh, this is like really happening, and like how is this gonna affect the world, or how's this going to affect Ukraine, but how's it going to affect the world at large? And I think that's kind of the exact same thing that's happening with Israel and Palestine, where you don't know like how like far this could escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember reading an article like I think years ago, and they were talking about like what are the most likely like scenarios for like a World War III, and then I think Israel and Palestine was one, but like not because like them two had conflict, but just because of like what countries are involved on
Mm-hmm.
each side. So like just like saying like, you know, if it were to like really escalate, then yeah, like maybe, but yeah, I don't know how far it would go, just because I think
Right.
with the U.S. it's like that's their I mean, as like, you know, pretty much the only superpower in the world, it's like their responsibility to get involved in every single, you know, conflict, because it's like they're the most strongest. But yeah, so
my professor made a good point yesterday, and he did refer like you did as well to the Ukraine and Russia conflict, and he was like, I think the Biden administration has so far done like a pretty decent job in that scenario, in the Ukraine and Russia scenario, of getting involved, but like not getting too involved.
Yeah, like say what you will about gas and like like your gas prices, but like I think like they've kept like enough of like a stick to the like situation where it's like, and to the point where it's like, you know, it's not like Russia could like come at you. I mean, not that they would, that'd be stupid, but yeah.
So he did mention like, I hope that, you know, that kind of like translates into the situation as well. But I feel like this is a little more of a sticky situation.
Because the U.S. has always been in the back of Israel,
right?
Like backing them up, so it's kind of tricky. I mean, well, I guess they've always been maybe not in like the back of Ukraine, but like I mean they're always opposed to Russia.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just kind of like,
who knows?
Yeah, really, who knows?
Who knows? I really have no idea, but yeah, if you haven't seen the Biden speech, definitely give that a watch. That was released just yesterday. Yeah, I was just telling David, like, I know two of my family friends, they're pretty close to us, so it's very scary, but I have faith that everything will be okay. But they're actually stuck in Jerusalem right now. They went on, like, a missionary trip with their church.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they're stuck in a bunker. They cannot come home, so hopefully, I think they're trying to push for, like, within this week, before the weekend, like they might be able to come back, but it's not looking too good.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but it's really scary. Like it really is scary.
Israel already started attacking Palestine, right? I think I saw that they were.
I think so. Yeah, they formed like an emergency government of some kind.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and I keep thinking like just like how is Palestine gonna come out on the other end?
I know.
Just because like I keep thinking like with the like amount of force that Israel is gonna come after them, basically just like sending them to hell. Just
I know.
Like almost
exactly.
like I wouldn't be surprised if it were to like wipe them off like the face of the earth, just like with like them declaring war, and also if they have like I mean we keep saying this, but like with the U.S. backing, which it's kind of crazy to think, just like
I know
because
it's so scary.
It's scary, and also just like you know, I was kind of thinking like a while ago, like what would like define like Biden's presidency, because like it's kind of, I feel like there's been like enough you could say about it, but it's not like, I don't know if he would be necessarily someone who like you look back on it's like, oh yeah, he did X X X X. Like I think the average person can't really name the things he's done like during his exactly
like straight up I
like all I could think is just like Russia, Ukraine maybe, and then like he beat Trump, which was like, happened before he even stepped in the office. So it's just but like I feel like with this it's like that's gonna be, so like, you know, whether or not we do get involved, it's like, well, how does this affect like the election? Because like how will like people come after like Biden for it?
Yeah,
which that's another thing, as I don't even know if it's like such an easy win for him. But
I know I can't like imagine. I'm just like, so my heart is very heavy for the people who are there.
Yeah.
And I like, you know, do like my thoughts and prayers are with everyone. From both sides of the border. Like I feel like it's just like complete chaos there right now and disorder, which is like really scary to think about. But I think that's it for me. I just wanted to really talk about in the moment how this is unfolding, and hopefully, you know, we're recording next week as well, so I think we should definitely give an update, a small update.
I mean, we could do it like a series. I mean, not a series, but like different parts, if, like depending on like what happens.
Yeah, that'd be
which
nice.
hopefully like nothing too bad happens. Like
worse than it already.
Yeah, and that this is like as bad as it gets. But
yeah,
I mean, you never know, especially
right.
like I mean, your poli sci professor like saying like, oh, this is like really bad, which is
dude, he scared the shit out of me.
You never want to hear that from anyone.
Yeah, I know. I was like, from all people, like you, like from a person who has studied, these concepts and all this stuff for years, like I don't want to hear from your professional standpoint that this is really bad. Like that scares
like
me.
Even if it is just lie
to me, dude. Lie to me. Like it's just scary, because I'm like, what does that mean for us? Like for all we know, Biden can freaking stick his feet in there or whatever, and then next thing you know, we're screwed all over again.
Eating ice cream.
Yeah.
No, that actually reminds me of the March 2020.
Oh my god.
I was in high school and it was our last volleyball practice ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not ever because we didn't die, but it was our last practice before everything happened, and it was the news about oh, things are shutting down, what's gonna happen, and then my coach kind of sat us down. He's like, guys, it's not looking good for us.
Oh no.
And then he was basically saying this might be I don't want to be bleak, but this might kill us all.
Oh my god.
And then it was okay, and it's and you're gonna expect us to play volleyball right after, and
now let's get started
and do some serves. Yeah, literally how it worked out. But yeah, it's
scary.
you don't want to hear that. I mean, even if it's the truth, it's just I don't. Yeah. Which that's the thing. I don't. I mean, I wasn't born during 9/11, so I don't know how it was, how it felt. But from who I've spoken to, remember it very vividly, and I think if you were alive, then you remember it pretty vividly. Yeah. But
I was 1.
Oh.
But my mom always talks about it. And she's even us in LA on the opposite side of the country.
Well, because it's you don't know what was going to happen, so you know if they're going to go after other cities. Yeah. So yeah.
And they were she always tells me the story. I always think about it when she's I was watching the news, getting ready for work, having my coffee. Mm-hmm. Her dad was in the kitchen making breakfast, and we just hear these screams on the news mm-hmm. of people screaming bloody murder, terrified, and we just see the Twin Towers literally blowing up in smoke. Yeah, as in front of our eyes, it's live happening. And she's and I called everyone in our family, mm-hmm. told everyone you need to turn on the news right now, and everyone was in panic mode because you don't know if New York first, Los Angeles next,
You would think that, yeah. Which, unfortunately, they were targeting, they did get the Pentagon, huh? And then they were going to go for the White House, which that didn't happen. But, yeah, that kind of a similar story with my mom. She was, getting up, because that was at, 8:54, I think was when the first plane hit. Mm-hmm. And that was East Coast, so that was obviously 3 hours ahead. So it was, 5 going on 6, what had happened so, some people might have been sleeping, but...
Right.
I remember my mom saying that she was getting ready for work,
right.
And she saw the news and she's but she didn't really, because they didn't know what was what happened.
What was happening? Yeah,
the
severity of it.
There's a really great video on YouTube of 9/11 as it happened, where it's mm-hmm. The news minute to minute.
Wow.
But when you watch the newscasters, they're we heard it's a plane, we don't know if it's an accident, we don't know if this or that.
Uh-huh.
It was only if you saw, because they were having people calling no, I saw the plane with my own eyes.
Right. Even there's audio of the flight attendants and all the pilots, they're all sending messages, and then there was a person a operator, and she was is this a drill? Are we having a drill? And the pilot was this is not a fucking drill. You need to let everyone know. Or the
people who called their family when that was happening.
They're oh, maybe it's just a fire in the building.
Which that pisses me off. When people say oh, how are they able to call on the plane? And it's they had pay-per-view, or they had pay-per-call on the plane back then. But
I know.
Anyway, yeah. So it was so she got ready for work, and then she went into
mm-hmm. work.
And then by that time that happened, it was already, I think the second plane already hit,
mm-hmm.
and they're watching the news, and then some guy was what are you guys doing? Shouldn't you all be working? And it's the plane just hit the Twin Towers.
Oh my god, are you serious?
But he hadn't seen the news,
oh.
and he's that doesn't happen, no way. And he went to go watch the news, in the cafeteria, came back, and he was just distraught.
Yeah.
But
it's scary. I mean, I think and I think a lot of us now are the time now is slightly more desensitized than it was during like the time
because you
of
didn't have
wedding.
phones, and so
Yeah.
like when you saw that, it was literally just like the whole world was like standing still, whereas like now it's like everything's like happening so fast,
Right.
and like you see it like on your phone. You don't even have to turn on the news, like
Right.
you know what's happening. So
I mean, like literally like every 45 minutes since Saturday, I've been getting like notifications on my phone,
yeah,
of like what's been happening. But I hope that, you know, things don't get worse than what they've already gotten. My thoughts and prayers are with everyone, in Israel and in Palestine, everyone. I just hope that everyone, you know, is okay and that there are no more casualties than there have already been. The women and children especially, like my heart is so heavy for them because of, I don't want to be graphic, but there are things that have been happening to women.
That was horrible.
The attacks they're just very brutal, so my heart is heavy, but I hope that everything turns out okay. I think we should definitely give a small update maybe sometime between now and the next episode.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out, like what happens.
See where it's at, but don't forget to look at your news. You're not from X.
Not from X.
From fucking like AP News or like New York Times or some shit. Like
yeah.
Update yourself, educate yourself on what's going on around you. Be aware. And yeah, again, my thoughts and prayers are with everyone. So I hope everything doesn't get worse than it already has. But that's it for me.
Yeah, same for me as well. So.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. I know it was like a heavy one, but hopefully things get better from here.
Yeah.
But yeah, tune in for next week's episode. We're having a pumpkin carving episode for Halloween, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And we will try to give an update about the situation.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but that's about it for me.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.